In this video I'm going to be answering a question that's been sent in about the role of open mics in my music making. The question was, I would like to hear you talk about the role of open mics in your music making. What do you get out of performing? Do you use it to sharpen your performance skills? Do you use it to try out new material, etc.? Open mics have been a really big part of my musical life, from starting out playing at university in places like Nicky Tams and the William Wallace, to Acoustic Bliss down home in Ayr, to moving to Glasgow and playing Jerry Lyons Acoustic Night at Nice and Sleazy's, Crawford Smith's Southside Session Nights, and a whole load more. So in this video I'm going to try and explain just what it is that I love about playing this kind of gig. So let's start off with exactly what an open mic is, just in case there's anyone out there watching who's not familiar with them. The open mics are performance spaces where anyone can get up and do something, anything, for a few minutes. And they can vary a little depending on which one you go to, but they'll all generally have someone who's hosting who'll perform a few songs to start the night, and then they'll invite other people up. Now, most places, in my experience at least, you can just turn up on the night, tell the host that you would like to perform, and they'll put you onto the list for that night. A few places, especially the more popular nights, can get a lot of performers. They might take names in advance on a Facebook group or something similar. It's not dissimilar to a jam session, but whilst a jam will have several musicians getting up and improvising together, at an open mic it's generally acoustic. You have the stage to yourself to play what you want, anything at all. Even you, Tinker. Now when it gets to your turn on the list, you'll go up to the stage and perform a short set. Now again, the exact nature will depend on the specifics of the open mic. Some will give you a set number of songs, say a set of 3 songs at a time. Some will give you a set time period, perhaps around 10 to 15 minutes. A really busy one, like Nice and Sleazy's for example, it might have so many people to get through that you just do one song at a time and go back up later if there's enough time for a second shot at it.
We have no need to run. We cannot speak of the shadow of the soul. We step under burning sun. Take our name. We are sleepwalking. You're screaming, so misleading. We try to tell.
There's no fee for playing, either paid to the performers or that you have to pay to get on the list, but there might be something like a free drink at the bar. At this level of performance, it's not about money, it's all about getting the experience of being on stage. And that experience is utterly invaluable to get you to a level where you can play professional gigs. If you're a musician who's just starting out, perhaps you've only played in your bedroom so far, you want to get a feel for what it's like playing to an audience, I cannot recommend open mics enough as a way to dip your toe into live shows. Now there are several reasons for that. One is that the set you'll play is very short. So there's not the pressure of having to get an awful lot of material ready. If you've just got one song you can play, you can get up and do that one song. It's a great way to get yourself over the nerves that are an inevitable part of getting on stage for the first time. In fact, to be utterly brutally blunt about it, it's not going to matter if you're rubbish at this stage. If you mess up, you're only on stage for a few minutes. Someone else will be along as soon as you're off. Now, that might sound harsh, I know, but for me, when I was playing my first open mics, I actually found that kind of weirdly reassuring. This was somewhere that I could go where I had the space to mess up, to miss notes, struggle to find chords. Somewhere I could get up, fail and come back again the next week and try again. Excuse me whilst the cat knocks over my autocue. My first experience with playing open mics was at university in Stirling. My first time was at the William Wallace pub in Causeway Head, about halfway between university and town, at an open mic run by Bugsy McLean. This was a great start in open mic playing and a pretty typical example of how one's run. Bugsy provided the PA system for the pub and brought along his own guitar and microphone for anyone to use. You can bring your own instruments if you prefer, or if you're playing something a bit less typical. So most open mics will have a house guitar that anyone can use. A few might also have a keyboard, and if you play other instruments then you're best to bring your own along. So Bugsy would play a few songs to kick the night off, then get one of the regulars up for a set. Once they were on, he would go around taking names of anyone who wanted to play. I can still remember my very first time playing, doing a cover of Hotel Yorba by the White Stripes. Not being very good yet, being incredibly nervous, but being made to feel very, very welcome. Most open mics, certainly the good ones, are extremely supportive environments for new musicians, because almost every single person in that room is a musician themselves. Many of them new to it too and just as nervous. Some of us might be old hands, regulars who seem practically in with the bricks of the place, but we still remember our first times like it was yesterday. We know what it's like. We know how you're feeling, and we know that as you get used to being there, your confidence in performing is going to bloom, and we are going to be delighted to see the progress that you make. Now at this point though, I would like to just dispel one common misconception about open mics, and that is that they're somewhere that is mostly just for beginners. Yes, they are a great place when you're starting out for all the reasons that I've talked about, but they're also really good for more experienced musicians too. Perhaps you've got a new song that you've just written that you'd like to try out in an audience. Perhaps you're used to performing as part of a band with people around you, but you'd like to experience getting up on stage as a solo artist and get a feel for what it's like to be there on your own. Perhaps you're passing through a place that you've not been to before and just want to get a feel for that city's music scene. You'd like to, go and try out somewhere new, meet some new people, or perhaps you're just a musician and you just love playing. In my last video, you saw me put together a pedal board that I can use for solo gigs. I'm going to be testing that out at open mics soon. They are really a brilliant, low pressure way to try out new things. There are also lots of stories of many legendary musicians and performers who have turned up and played at an open mic just for the fun of it. Eddie Izzard has performed a few times at Sleazy's. Tenacious D dropped in when they were gigging in Glasgow. I once got to see and jam with Elvis's guitarist at an open mic in Bridge of Allen. I've even met Butcher Boy's keyboard player at an acoustic night. The supportive, welcoming environment is why we keep coming back. As well as being a place to get used to playing to an audience and developing your performance skills, open mics are a brilliant way to meet people. Most towns and cities will have at least one where pretty much every musician in that town will play every so often. It's a great way to meet people who love music every much as bit as you do. I've seen professional relationships develop, bands form, lifelong friendships made, and romances begin all over the bond of a shared love of music and getting up in front of each other to sing.
No map will guide me home. This big eye apart.
Thank you for watching this video. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, please click like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to be notified when I post new stuff. And please take a look at my Patreon page, patreon.com/DavidBurns, as that helps fund me making more of these videos. I hope this has inspired you to find your nearest open mic and head out to play. You'll find me at one around Glasgow most weeks. Take care, and I will see you again next time.